in the NFL where we saw the number of veterans that there are right now holding out, and I think we are seeing a change in the attitudes and behavior of players that traces partly to the NBA, that traces partly to the current CBA, the NBA, the CBA, mix it together, and we've got a situation where players are being tougher, stronger, greedier, greedy in a good way.
I didn't know there was a bad way to be greedy.
Greedier than ever before.
Is that a bad thing?
About what they can get from teams, because we've never seen all these holdouts, veteran holdouts of players under contract, and that doesn't even include Jadeveon Clowney, who's an unsigned franchise player and is not technically a holdout, but is not a camp.
So look, they see the basketball players exercising all the leverage they have. The football players have no leverage beyond withholding their services. So here they are doing it. Let's go on with what's happening around training camps around the National Football League. And let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts, who made the playoffs for the first time since 2014 last year. And expectations are even greater going forward. According to our Football Power Index, they have a 40% chance to win the division, which would be the first time since 2014. And Andrew Luck is, of course, the biggest reason. He's coming off a season in which he set career highs in QBR and completion percentage. But he was held out of spring practices as a precaution because of a calf injury. He's looking to play all 16 games in back-to-back years for the first time in a long time. And Colts head coach Frank Reich said Kevin Durant's injury played a role in the way they're handling this.
We didn't really talk about it, but I think we all knew it. I mean, I was thinking it. Yeah. You know, I was certainly thinking it, and I didn't have that conversation with Chris or with any of our trainers, but that's this business. You know, when you see something like that happen, you're like, oh yeah, that's why you do what we're doing. And it was kind of like unspoken truth. You know, that's why let's be cautious about this.
All right, so this is interesting to me that they took a look at that situation, and with Luck, obviously the worries were always about the shoulder, but what do you make of that? They're looking, Dominique, at the NBA for guidance.
No, I mean, it's fantastic because you could take that quote and apply it to Zeke Elliott also. Like, it's the same thing. It's just from a different perspective, where they look like they're trying to protect the organization's investment going forward. These players are trying to protect their livelihood and their investment in themselves going forward. So I love what Frank Reich said, and I love what he's doing with Andrew Luck.
I can't believe the NBA is seeping this much into the NFL in terms of contracts and injuries and all the other ways that training camp is unfolding. But look, there's no reason to force Andrew Luck out there unless you are 100% convinced that he is healthy. And he's not going to take the pounding on that calf and Achilles area. And by the way, they're saying calf, but when they compare it to Kevin Durant's injury, I wonder how much that Achilles is susceptible. And typically, a lot of times when players tear Achilles, you hear them complaining, like Richard Sherman was out there on the injury report with a weakened Achilles, and of course it pops in that Thursday night game. So I wonder how severe that Achilles injury is for Andrew Luck and how much of a concern that would be for them.
Look, one way or another, there are certain players in the league teams just flat out cannot afford to lose. Yeah. This obviously is right at the top of the list. This is a Super Bowl team with an MVP candidate quarterback. Let's get up and go as I rasp my way through this. Caesars Sportsbook released their NBA season win totals for next year, and Giannis Antetokounmpo's Milwaukee Bucks top the league at 57 wins. The new look Clippers are tops in the stacked Western Conference at 55.5. Let's take a look at some of the other teams and their over-under totals here. See where you might be interested in taking a little action. Philly is the only other East team besides Milwaukee with a win total over 50. And overall, the 7 different teams with an over-under of at least 50 wins would be the most to start a season since 2013. There is more parity in that league than ever before. To baseball, an historic night for the Red Sox offense. They explode for 19 runs as they blow out the Yankees at Fenway. The 19 runs, the most the Red Sox have ever scored against the Yanks in their 2,302 regular season meetings. They had 14 extra base hits. That's tied for the second most in a game in team history. Xander Bogaerts paced the attack. He had 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. 8 different Red Sox had multiple RBIs on the night. So that was a one-sided affair. Meanwhile, the trade deadline less than a week away, and there is no more intriguing surrounding storyline than the Mets starter Noah Syndergaard. Rival evaluators have been telling our Buster Olney the team will trade the right-hander now before the July 31st deadline. And let me bring in our baseball insider, Buster Olney, for the very latest. Buster, I feel like it's been on and off with Syndergaard all summer long. Why are the Mets determined to get this done now?
Greeny, for a couple reasons. One, obviously, Syndergaard hasn't been as good for the Mets as maybe they would have anticipated with an ERA over 4. And they know that other teams are absolutely frothing at the idea of trying to bring him in and tap into that talent. Teams like the Padres, maybe the Houston Astros. But also, while the Mets are a big market team, they're not a big budget team. And this winter, unless they make roster adjustments, they're going to bump into some financial issues. So trading Syndergaard would not only bring in young players that they need, but also they would allow them to help manage the payroll moving forward.
All right, stay in the same city. The Yankees getting blown out by the Red Sox, as we mentioned before. How does that impact, if at all, what they do the next few days?
Greeny, there's no question it ratchets up the urgency for Yankees general manager Brian Cashman to go out and make a trade, whether it's for Marcus Stroman of the Toronto Blue Jays, Robbie Ray of the Arizona Diamondbacks, maybe Trevor Bauer if they can pry him away from the Cleveland Indians. Over the last 6 games, the Yankees starters have a 15.59 ERA. I think a week ago, Brian Cashman was hoping that if he didn't make a trade for a pitcher before the deadline, that he'd be able to figure it out from within, hope that Luis Severino would come back at the end of August and be able to add something to their rotation. But the struggles lately have absolutely fragmented this Yankees rotation. They need pitching help now.
It's going to be an interesting few days. Buster Olney, thanks. We get back to football as we continue. Aaron Rodgers as a new leader and Matt LaFleur. Will that change at head coach mean another Packers trip to the playoffs? And this week, NBA executives may have woken up a sleeping king. What they're saying about LeBron and what he's going to do in response on the way. It's Get Up on ESPN.
When does an opportunity become a golden opportunity? When a forward-thinking safety system and peace of mind come together at the perfect moment. Don't miss your perfect moment to experience our most advanced safety technology on a full line of vehicles. Now at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event.